What's up, Limitless family? This is DJ Eitzen, co-founder and president, Limitless Minds. And here on Limitless Live today, we're excited. We come here every single day, and Friday's a special day because it's Friends and Family Friday. And you know where you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, and also our Club Limitless app, where every day you're going to get content, coaches, community, and also have an opportunity at 12:30 Eastern to talk to some of our customers, our friends, and our coaches live. And today we have a really special guest on the Friends and Family Friday. This young man started his career out in 1991 at Enterprise Rental Car, and then moved that into 3 decades of success in the automotive industry. I had a chance to meet him about a year ago, and along with one of our head of sales and one of our Limitless family, David Zay, and Patrick Norris. He currently is the VP of credit acceptance, the VP of sales, and just a great overall person. So we're excited today to learn a little bit more about him. Patrick, welcome. He's fresh off the golf course. I mean, look at the man. He comes in just looking clean. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for that introduction. I got to go through that daily. You make me feel a whole lot better about myself.
Hey, you know what? Harry Wilson would be super excited. I know he's actually on a call right now.
Yeah.
But Harry started his career at Enterprise Rental Car. And
Great.
So he's got a lot of love. Every time we go to fill a spot, he's like, hey, make sure that they got Enterprise background.
Yeah.
Let's get somebody with that, because the training there is incredible, right? I mean, that's what I hear.
Yeah, it was really an outstanding place to start right out of school. It was, and Harry probably knows this, if you come through there and you've had any level of success, you're not afraid of hard work, and you've been trained up pretty well. So there's a pretty good community of ex-Enterprise people out there in the business world right now.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So we often start, we start every day at Limitless Minds with gratitude, and I've actually been doing that now on the Limitless Live. So what are you grateful for today, Patrick?
Yeah, for me, and it's really simple. It's happy and healthy. I'm grateful to be happy and healthy. That I don't know that anything else matters if you don't have that. For sure, you got to start there. You got to start with number one in yourself, and if you can bring that to the table, you can feel that way. Chances are you're probably going to have a pretty good day. And a couple years ago, I had a little commitment to myself. I said, every day I wake up, every day my feet hit the floor, the first thought I'm going to have every day is gratitude. And that is the first word that's allowed to come out of my mouth in the morning, is that. So anytime your feet hit the floor and you got that gratitude, like I said, it's going to be a pretty good day.
I love that, man. And we often say the best ability is availability. And being healthy and being able to have your feet hit the floor, I think a lot of times we take that for granted. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that today.
Good way to start the day.
No doubt. So I gave a little bit of background. Most of it was like your business background, but you've been winning and for a long time now, and been successful for a long time. And I know that because I've had the opportunity to sit down and have lunch with you several times and learn a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's go back to high school, where you grew up and all that, and then lead us into where you're at today.
Yeah, been we've talked about it. Been very fortunate to have been part of some really good teams, throughout life, starting at a young age. Sometimes it's right place, right time, and I've been fortunate, about with that. If you're going back to that age, I grew up in a small town in southern Ohio, literally in the foothills of the Appalachians. It wasn't anything too awful special. Pretty small town called Caldwell, Ohio. 30 minutes north of the West Virginia border, and wasn't necessarily, it wasn't the educational or socioeconomic capital of the world by any means, but it was a good place. It was calm, it was quiet, and a lot of good people in the area. So it was a decent place to grow up for sure.
That's cool. That's great. Now you said that you did get a chance to start out on some pretty awesome teams. Tell me a little bit about that first team, that winning team that you were on, and what you learned there.
Yeah, thanks for teeing that up. It's a long time ago for sure, but I think anybody that's been a part of winning teams kind of remember some of those. And the question always comes up, what's the best team you've ever been on, And for me, it was that. Growing up in that small town, we had about 300 kids in our entire high school, so pretty small town there. And we had grew up running track and cross country because we didn't hardly have any other sports. And I was too small to play football, so I decided to start running and came to that. And listen, we just had an amazing combination of coaches and teammates come together. There was certainly not a whole lot special about us other than we were great teammates and we worked hard and had phenomenal leadership. And ultimately, we can get into some of the details, but we ended up winning state championships both my junior and senior year, and then it started a run, kind of a dynasty, if you will. My high school won 8 straight state championships.
Wow.
In Ohio high school cross country. So it was really just outstanding to be a part of that and to start something that was pretty special.
That's unbelievable. Awesome too. And you are I love your humility. Because and I think that's really, one of the things that makes you really special and is probably giving you a great place on these teams. I think to have a humble leader like yourself, somebody that just goes out and does as opposed to kind of talks about what they're doing is pretty powerful. I know in the past you've shared even at a young age, some of the things that you guys were doing from discipline standpoint to become great. Tell us a little bit about some of those things, and then how have you used those things that you did in track and cross country to now in the business world and leading people at a VP level?
Yeah, and it's interesting when you're, whatever it is, 16, 17, 18 years old, you're not always thinking about it in that sense. But
Right.
when you have time to reflect on that and carry it through your professional life, through college and into your professional life and whatnot. And as we were talking about preparing for this call, and I put some of those thoughts together and to kind of recycle it. But it's really the champion's mentality, I think, is what you've got there. And I think it starts with commitment. I don't know that anybody reaches, a height of whether it's, business, professional, musical, whatever it is. I don't know if too many people are so talented that they can reach the top of their field without being ultimately committed to what they're doing. So there was that. I think the next part is accountable. Accountability is huge, and I think that you're on a great team when you're being accountable to your teammates, even more so than yourself, And I know that the best teams I've ever been on is when you're accountable to everyone around you. You certainly need to be accountable to yourself, but when you're pulling yourself along to help the people that you're in the battle with, so to speak, I think that's the thing that takes teams from one level to the next. And finally, just being resilient, right? You got to be a bit of a bulldog. You've got to, you got to have that goldfish mentality,
Mhm.
right? You just gotta get after it and bring it. Not every day is going to be a good day. Not every day is going to be a winning day, right? But
Right.
if you can stack up enough of those good ones in a row, or out of a week or out of a month, and then it becomes a year, and that resiliency just kind of becomes a mantra of great teams as well.
It's funny. I love that you started with commitment. I mean, I think a lot of times when we try to unpack what these great teams or elite, performers have done, I don't know if necessarily commitment comes up first, but like as somebody as a talking point because it's not that sexy, right? It's not, it's just, but like it's absolutely imperative if you want to be great. That's one of the things I hear, and we were talking about it last week and I really would want to try to see where you would line this up if it's the same as commitment or kind of aligns with it. But we were talking about being disciplined, and how important that is with performance. What's your thought around discipline? Because you mentioned commitment, accountability, you mentioned resilience. Where would you place discipline in that?
I think, really, as you asked that question, I think it could be the umbrella. I think discipline's the umbrella that would
Mm,
encapsulate all three of those things, right? If you think there's a discipline to being committed, right? There's a discipline to doing things on days that you don't want to do it. There's a discipline to being accountable, right? If you only want to if you only kind of want to look out for yourself, that's different than having discipline to think about the others on your team. And the same thing with, resiliency, and those come together, and the grit and all that kind of thing. It takes that as well. So I think I would call that just an umbrella over top of
I like that.
over it all. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and it does encompass all those things. We got Lane in the chat saying grit and grace. I like that. That sounds like a talk show or a book. That's really cool. Let's see. We got somebody on LinkedIn saying commitment, accountability, resilience. That's a recipe for a great team, no doubt. Josh Lifrak, success is boring. Josh Lifrak, I think you're pretty familiar with him. So those who aren't, he's the mental conditioning coach for the Chicago Cubs in 2016, who took the lovable loser Cubs to the World Series champions, who unfortunately beat my Cleveland Indians at the time. Made us change our name. But the Guardians now he beat us so bad he made us change our name. And now he's our director. But we brought him over to Limitless Minds as our director of mental conditioning and performance. So
I love how Josh says that. And obviously we were fortunate to be able to have Josh come in and speak at our national sales conference. But success is boring. It's all of that stuff: the commitment, the accountability, the resiliency. There's nothing sexy about that. It's just doing it over and over and over again, and perfect practice, right? Getting there to produce the end result that you want. There's no 5-run home run. It takes a while to grind it out to get the W.
So you mentioned you brought Limitless Minds into your team. Tell us a little bit about that and your background with us, and how you became part of the Limitless Minds family and partnership.
Yeah, real simple to start, was just having a very casual conversation with David Zay, who's the head of sales, like you said, over there, and he and I just got talking a little bit about what he does, what I do, and listen, there was a match, right? What's real interesting is national sales conference, and we had started, and we brought in some speakers, if you will, and it was great, right? Speakers have been great, but the challenge there is, what's the sustained lift, and I think most measures might tell you that you can sustain a lift off of a speaker for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. Maybe some people a little bit more, but we wanted to do something where we could have a sustained lift over a much longer period of time. And that's where we got engaged into this kind of, mental coaching and mental conditioning, and being able to take this to our field sales force. And we've got about 400 plus, folks in our field sales channel. And we wanted to be able to take that type of coaching and conditioning across the entire team for a full 12-month period. We're all of 90 days into it right now. Feedback's been outstanding. We've gotten to engage with Josh. We've gotten to engage with Colin, and looking forward to, I think it's 10 more labs to go.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So that's incredible. And you said something about like the sustainability, and you told me a story one time when we were at lunch about how, we're going back to when you were a cross country runner, how your team would prepare. And it really stuck with me. I think you said it was the 500-mile club. Is that right? Tell our audience a little bit about the 500-mile club and what that's all about.
Interesting you bring that up, because I think I might have told you, we're in the process. We're in a book writing process right now of this story of this, the small town team that actually achieved and won a national championship, not just state championships, which we did. But the part of that is we're going through this book writing process, and our coach, outstanding coach Ron Martin, keeps coming back, says, hey, what really allowed us to do what we did? And it was this 500-mile club. And I'll tell you what that is. It's real simple. It's running 500 miles in 60 days. And it comes out to about 8.3 miles a day. But it's that point, it's consistency, right? You can't go out and, put in a 20-mile and then take a day off and, things like that. It's the consistency of that piece. And what it does is that it builds the repetition, it builds the muscle memory, and it builds that level of strength that you want to take into the season. Like, you can't do the things down the road if you don't have a good baseline. And I think that maybe that's kind of why it stuck with you, DJ, is exactly that, because you can take that to any discipline in your life, right? You've got to have a firm baseline that you can draw upon when you really need it. And for us, it was the miles that we were able to put on during that 500-mile club.
Yeah, it's awesome. I tell my kids about that too. My daughter, she's running cross country for the first time in high school. Now she ran it in middle school, didn't run it last year, and now she's training. She had a really
There you
good
go.
track season, and she's
Good.
training for cross country
Wow.
for her sophomore year.
There you
And so before she started training, I shared with her the story about the 500-mile club
go.
and your success as a high school and college athlete, and I think it really resonated with her, and it was yeah, so it's pretty cool. We got Josh Lifrack says the beast can get beastier or get beastier. That's a quote from Trevor. Trevor would
Okay.
always say like,
Uh,
somebody would do something great at a moment in time, and he'd go, DJ. He actually told me this is one of the things he said to me. I had some small success, and he looked at me and he goes, you know what, DJ, even the beast can get beastier. I'm like, awesome, man. Thanks.
I'm
So
actually right.
Josh is
I'm
throwing
writing that
that out
one
there.
down. The beast get beastier.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right.
Let's see. James Jones, he's a college athlete too, a college basketball player at Capital University back in the day. He said, how often do you change your shoes in those 60 days?
Well, you'd be surprised. We'd certainly wear out the treads on them, back in the day. And I think that was one of the other neat things about the story. There is, the area we were in was pretty economically depressed, so it wasn't like we were out and buying fresh pairs of $150 Nikes every 60 days, right? So we would wear out those shoes before we got to the next set. And you could really, at that time, you could probably get somewhere around 800 to 900 miles out of a pair of shoes.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
it. Natalie is very, very impressed. She's been extra resilient in the sales category. Continues to have success, and that's leaving a lot of clues. We say success leaves clues, and so she gives you a shout out here. Yeah, man. So when you think about mindset, because a lot of the things that you mentioned, whether it's being resilient, being disciplined, commitment, accountability, there's a certain mindset that you have to have. Tell us a little bit about your mindset, and then how you impress it upon the people that you lead.
Well, I don't want to just take it back immediately to that champion's mentality, but a lot of it is that it's the old thing is just showing up, and there is the consistency piece is probably the thing that all of us maybe miss from time to time. I think one of the things is as long as you have the right people and the right product. I don't know about you all, but people that are hiring other folks and doing that kind of thing, we typically bring good, smart, bright, talented people who can do the job on our teams. And you think about it, what separates, typically what is it on a sales team, on a sports team, whatever it might be, what separates the top from bottom? And it's generally not just, well, that person's the most talented person out there, right?
Mm,
That is not the thing. It is who keeps showing up. Who keeps showing up on the rainy days and the windy days and the cold days and that type of thing, right? Who keeps showing up when you're getting multiple no's? Who keeps showing up maybe when your product at the time is not just the best product in the in the market, right?
yeah,
So I guess maybe going back to Josh's comment there about it not being success being boring. I don't want to bring it back to that all the time, but so much of it is just about that. And
right.
we've been very fortunate. In my now 23-year career at Credit Acceptance, we know we've got a very good product. It's not always the best in the market. It's not always leading, right? But if we continue to show up and bring it for our customers on a daily basis, we will win the long game. We will win the long game.
That's awesome. No, that's great. Well, you talked about showing up, and I don't know. Are you familiar with the NBA basketball player Zion Williamson?
Oh,
You
for
familiar?
sure. Yep.
Okay. So what's your thoughts on him in terms of just being so talented, but really struggling to get on and stay on the court consistently? Any thoughts around that?
I don't know if I know the total story that well. I know there's been some I think some health issues there, being able to be
That's right.
healthy enough to stay on the court, and then I think there's also been some other personal things maybe that have come up and led to some issues there or not. But I guess maybe that's the question. In his own right, is he doing his own 500-mile club? And in basketball, to prepare yourself, right, you've got to do a lot of the reps on the court. You got to do your reps in the weight room. You've got to do the diet and exercise and all that kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
think you kind of want to ask the question: is that young man, is that person who is immensely talented?
Mm-hmm.
Is he doing his own 500 again? In quotes, right? Whatever it
Right.
is,
What's that 500-mile?
baseline that he needs to stay on, because he's one of those guys, right? If he keeps showing up,
Yeah.
if he's on the court, 75 games a year, he's going to win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, because there are so many things. You got your physical health, you got your mental health, all those things stacked up. And it's when you see somebody as talented as Zion Williamson,
Yeah.
you just wonder if he was more available and if he could be. I mean, maybe it's a thing where he can't physically be, and you can't judge him on that. But that's one of those when, as you were kind of talking through that, I'm like, he's somebody that stands out to me as the talent is off the charts, but yet we still haven't got to see the full body of work because he's just not been available.
Sure.
So yeah, this it's
And I think back to two situations where it's the old adage in sports. They say when your best player is also the hardest worker,
yeah.
you're in real good shape, right? And I think one, back to that really great high school team I was on, but also I think about an area manager that we had at Credit Acceptance who is since passed, unfortunately, but set records left and right for us. Just an amazing individual. And what he did was show up every single day, right? He was the hardest worker on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredibly humble, and he just continued to set records left and right. I'm not certain if he was the most talented person on the team. That was kind of hard to measure, but I do know that he did those other things that he needed to do. Incredibly disciplined, incredibly humble, and an incredible hard worker. And John did amazing things for us. And so I think all of us can think about people on our teams who fit that mold. And it's always not just, hey, that person's the most talented person on my team.
Right. But what an important person to have on your team, right? That again just kind of sets the tone, sets the pace, right? I mean, I remember watching my sister run. She ran distance in high school, was an All-American in the 800, but also ran cross country too as well. And then what they used to call it like a rabbit that would go out sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah. And that person, wasn't going to win for your team necessarily, but they went out and they set the pace and got everybody else in a position to run their best times. And it is amazing, man. Like when you start to really unpack what you've learned as an athlete and as a cross country runner, how many parallels there are, within what we're doing today as we're building our teams and leading people.
It doesn't have to be. It can be any sport. It can be any discipline. It can be music. It can be whatever people have done in their life to come up to draw upon those levels of success later in your life. It's so key to have that as a baseline, be able to draw back on whatever it might be that you've had that success at, so you can pull that forward when you really need to dig deep and kind of grind it out.
That's right.
Having that is amazing. And DJ, you'd asked when we were kind of prepping, what are some of the takeaways from being on great teams, not just all the way through the current state, quite honestly, and the amazing group of people that I get to work with at Credit Acceptance now. But the one is the takeaways is find, compete with, and work with people who are better than you. Right? Like, seek people out who are better than you and work with them, compete against them. That's how you get better, and if you're the best person around, go find someone who's better, right? Because that's how you lift yourself up. And I think that level of competition and just awareness of how other great people do what they do is a difference maker. I think the other one, the next one is be coachable. You've got to have an open mind. You've got to be willing to learn, and if you're already at the top of your profession or your field or whatever you're doing, there has to be folks out there that you can learn something from them, right? Be coachable. And I think the last thing is, and this is maybe my favorite, and I'll use the term limitless. That wasn't always, but don't have a ceiling, right? I think all of us kind of cap ourselves at something sometimes for some reason. I don't know why,
Yeah.
necessarily, but I love to ask the question, how big is big? How big is big? And I hope we all have that ability to kind of ask ourselves that and just let yourself go and grow to a level that maybe you didn't think you could achieve.
I love that. I really love that. We in our core values, we have think big is one of our core values, and I think that's one of the things that being around and being fortunate enough like to be in rooms where I'm definitely not the best, right, and just being around top performers, you see that they always start. You talked about what the umbrella is with
Yep,
discipline. I
correct.
think when I think you're, all the words that you have with the umbrella over top on the foundation of this is belief. The
Yeah.
belief that you can even get there. Thinking big to think of, a goal that is just so audacious. And that belief part is often overlooked, but it starts there. So I'm really happy you mentioned
Yeah,
that in this.
have a big, hairy, audacious goal, right?
Yeah,
Allow
that's right.
yourself to think at a level that maybe you haven't previously thought about, right? Like, why not shoot for the moon?
Yep, no doubt. Let's see. Josh has got a question here. What's the number one biggest lesson you learned with your time at Limitless Minds?
Is that for me or for you?
That's well. You know what? I'll start out.
All right.
For me, yeah, for me, it was a concept that we that Trevor had brought to the table that we use every day, and that's the whole neutral thinking, and just being able to get to neutral, not be overly positive, not definitely don't be negative,
Yeah.
but get to that neutral space so that you can focus on the right actions and behaviors that help you get to your goals. That has been a game changer for me, both personally and professionally. Something that I probably, I know I did in the past. I don't think I'd be where I'm at today if I wasn't doing that to an extent. But to be able to put words around it and then be able to really learn how to execute on that on a regular basis has been a game changer for me as a leader.
Yeah, outstanding, and that's clearly right at the top of the list. I think if I had to go to a next, and it's something that we came across fairly recently from Colin that Colin shared with us. It's real simple. You've heard it a million times probably. It's thoughts become things,
Thoughts become
and
things.
TBT.
EBT.
I love that. It's being in that state of allowing yourself to think positively, right? Allowing yourself to think that there's good, allowing yourself to believe that the next thing is going to be a great thing. And I think in doing that so many times, the body is such a powerful muscle that, the brain is such a powerful muscle that it will allow us to achieve. So thoughts become things.
So,
I'm leaning into
yeah,
that.
TB. I do love TBT. Yeah, that's a good one. You mentioned your book, and I know we got a couple minutes here. Um, Tell us a little bit about the book. When is it coming out? How much are you excited about it? Tell us a little bit about that.
No, I don't know if anyone's been through this. I know some of the folks on the call probably have, but if you've written and published a book before, it's a lot tougher than what you think, and it takes a lot more time than what you think. We certainly thought we'd be a little further ahead right now, but that's okay. It's about getting it right. I've talked to people who have published books, people who have taken them 6-7 years to write a book. I talked to an author who wrote, a book called "Let Them Lead," a guy by the name of John Bacon. I don't know if
Mhm.
anybody's read any of his stuff, but pretty sharp guy. He said he went through 15 edits on his last book that it took him to be a best-selling book. So we're a couple months behind anyway. The book's called "Too Small to Win." It will be available on Amazon and a bunch of the channels that'll be out there, but we're probably 90 to 180 days away from it actually hitting. But we're super excited. Too Small to Win. Kind of a cool story, and I hope you all be able to pick it up once it gets out there.
Awesome, man. Where can we find you? Credit acceptance. Tell us a little bit about that before we bounce here.
Yeah, I'm out there. I'm out there. LinkedIn for sure. Probably one of the tools that I use most frequently. We can communicate there. That's great. I'm on Twitter as well. But the easiest one probably check me out on LinkedIn. Please connect. Say hello. I'd love to. I get to see some of these names on a weekly basis, and I got to tell you, I'm so incredibly honored that you allowed me to come on with you today, DJ. Some over the last few months, I've got to listen to some of these and some just amazingly talented, smart, engaging people. And Been a fun ride. Thank you.
Well, hey man, well, thanks for letting me be in the room with you today. I know I got better. I know that our audience did too. Keep crushing it. Keep doing great things. Love the attitude. I love how you start with gratitude. You're disciplined, you're committed, you're resilient, you're accountable, you're all the things that you need to do to be great. And you shared that with the audience today, man. And I'm so proud to have you as a friend of Limitless Minds. So thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And for everybody else, listen, you know where we're at. We're here, Club Limitless. We're on LinkedIn. Follow us. Tell everybody about us. But most importantly, enjoy this holiday weekend. I know some of y'all are getting an extended weekend. And love on your family. Tell some folks that you're grateful for them, and just have an outstanding rest of the summer. So thank you, and great seeing everybody. We'll see you.
Be well.